And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. Today, we're going to continue our examination into our sample client here to determine if now they're ready to exit their business. If you remember, we've been looking at the meta-narrative, hey, this is what a true wealth manager, a wealth planner, someone who focuses on growing values of companies to help business owners truly receive their value of their company at some point in the future, building a business where it can be sold. I wrote about this in my first book, The Ultimate Sale. And in my most recent book, Your Baby's Ugly, we're actually diving in to the contents of that book and showing you what a good value growth advisor can do for you as a business owner. So in the last episode, we began looking at our business attractiveness, and we found out that our sample buyer, the business wasn't very attractive. Now, just as a reminder, when we grade this, we're going from a score of 1 to 6. 1 to 6. There is no average. 1, 2, 3 is below average. 4, 5, 6 is above average. Average is 3.5. You cannot give yourself an answer of I'm average. You're either below average or above average. So let's see in your business, as I go along with this sample case, why don't you ask yourself and answer these questions to yourself? And I'm going to try to, again, like last episode, try to quiz you a little bit, and because I know about how we're going to answer the questions as business owners. Remember, we think our baby is beautiful. Let's see how we think about it after today's question set. Now, look, there's a lot of questions here. What we're trying to determine is your business ready? Is exit planning ready? Have you done what you need to do for your business to go out to the marketplace to find a prospective buyer? See, so many times business owners, they reach a point in their life and they're like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm tired. Something's going bad in my business and I need to move on. And they go out and go to a broker, and the broker gets aggravated because he sees us on a regular basis, or she sees us on a regular basis, where the business has very little value. So let's see how your business stacks up. I'm going to answer the questions again today for our sample client because I about know how this individual would answer the questions if they were sitting across the table from us. Let's start off first with the valuation expectations. Do you know how much your business is worth today? Do you know that? I asked this particular scenario here. I'm saying a client. It's really not a client. I'm making something up as we go, just after years of experience of doing this. And they're going to say, well, I think it's about X. So you don't know. Well, my buddy down the street sold their business for Y. You don't know. Well, but you don't know. So we can kind of banter around a little bit, but ultimately, most people don't know unless they've had a recent valuation done. Most people don't know. Now, if you have, and you're just like super recent, like in the last 90 days, you may give yourself a 6. But in this case, this individual, they have a really good idea. They're like, hey, I'm a dentist, so to speak. And, I know that I've got some really good equipment, and so I'm doing only a couple of insurance policies or insurance providers right now. So I think I'm probably 80% of 12 collections, and therefore I'm probably $800,000 in value. Okay, that's a good guess. That's an educated guess. I'm going to still score you about a 2. Okay, but let's say that you think you know what it is, or in fact, you've had a valuation. Are you happy with the amount that your company's worth? Very few people say yes to that. So on a scale of 1 to 6, how happy are you? This particular individual probably is going to be a 1 because if they sold their business for what it's worth, they're not going to be able to meet their financial needs. Okay, are there any changes you could make to improve your business's value? What are they? We all know something we can do. Maybe it's to implement a system. Maybe it's to delineate something down to a process. Maybe it's to hire a manager. Whatever it is. Can you tell me what it would be? On a scale of 1 to 6, how confident are you that that improvement would drive the value to where you need it to be? Man, Justin, I don't have a clue. Remember what I said in our episode about the imposter syndrome? Many times we business owners, if we're really asked hard questions and we're completely honest, a lot of times we fly by our gut or intuition. So in this particular case, she has some ideas, but really not sure. And then, do you have in your mind right now a time frame that you're looking to get out of your business? You're like, dude, I'm just now getting started. Great. Do you know when you're going to leave? Well, it's going to be 20 years. Okay, then you have an idea. Now, there's a lot of things that could happen in that next 20 years. but you do have an idea. In this particular case, this individual knew they had roughly 10 years. That is a little bit below average for some people, so we scored her a 3. And then if she does have a buyer, does she know how long that she wants to work with that buyer during a handover or transition period? Her answer was as little as possible. Now, we had to score her a 2 at that point because she's in the mindset that she's going to have to continue to do everything. What we want to do is we want to get the business where it's operating without her. That way she can be available for a period of 2, 3, 4 years and collect a dividend check or a consulting agreement or consulting fee or some sort of a provision during this transitional period. How about you? If you were going to sell the business today, how long would you continue to help the new buyer stay on board? So now let's switch gears to gear number 2. We got 23 gears to go through here, guys. So don't check out on me here. Gear number 2. Do you know what you're going to do after you sell the business? I ask you this question. If you had unlimited time, unlimited money, what would you do differently than what you're doing today? Will you be able to sustain your lifestyle with what the business is worth now? A 6 is, if I sold it now, yeah, I could sustain my lifestyle. Yep, absolutely. Or heck no. This client was this prospective client's a 1 because they cannot sell the business for what it's worth and meet their lifestyle. Do you know the amount of money that you actually need to sell the business for? Aha. Let's reverse the methodology. See, oftentimes we say we think the business is worth this. Forget that. How much after taxes do you have to put in your pocket to sustain the lifestyle that you desire? This is why we go through financial planning first. We need to know that number. We need to know the wealth gap. And without that, all we're really doing in business is shooting through the dark. We're making good decisions, but we don't have a destination and we're going to get weary through the process. This is why I'm dogmatic about, hey, if we're going to start improving the value of a company, you've got to have your personal finances done first. Do you have a vision for what will happen to the business after you sell it? What do you want from the business? You know, you've got a lot of customers, clients, employees, vendors, community. There's a lot of people that rely on the business itself. What do you want the business to do after you sell it? I've never thought about it. Okay, give yourself a 1. If you have thought about it, do you have specificity to that vision? And if you do, maybe you're above average, because you would be in that case. Maybe you're above average. Let's switch gears to 3rd gear. Now we're going to talk about the shareholder or the equity owner's goals. Do you have a list of the printed names and addresses of all the shareholders in the business? Now, you may be a small business like so many people I work with, and it's probably just you and your spouse. That's fine. Then you have a yes. That's the number 6. We got that one. Cool. Do you have an exit strategy agreement in place? What? Yeah, do you have a written agreement? So one of the things that I have to focus on, if something happened to me, I need to make sure that my wife is not having to run a financial firm. So I have to have a written agreement, a written document, a written process in place. In your business, if you got hit by a truck tomorrow, and I've seen this happen, friends, and it breaks my heart every time it does. Does your significant other, your spouse, your husband, your wife, your kids, do they know how to deal with this business that you have and you can run off the top of your head? Is there some sort of something in writing? Chances are no. But maybe you do have a written succession plan. That would give you an above average score. Do you have a time frame in place? A shareholders agree on when the strategy is. Have you agreed to a time frame? Well, in this particular case, yeah, she says 10 years. Do all the shareholders agree? Does everybody involved, the stakeholders, let's call it, the key players in your company, do they agree on how the strategy should be performed? Is it going to be through cash? Is it going to be through shares, an earnout, an outright sale? What, Justin? Okay, go with a 1 there more than likely because you probably haven't. And if you're listening to this podcast and you have all that stuff, let me give you a virtual fist bump right there because you're already dealing with more advanced things than many, many business owners ever think about in their life. Have you agreed upon who's going to buy your business? You say, well, I want to give it to my kids. Do the kids want it? Many of us think our kids want it. Half the time they don't. Well, actually, more than half the time they don't. Maybe it's a management. Maybe it's key players. Maybe it's a strategic buyer. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it is an investor out there. Have you even nailed down who that's going to be? We're dealing with that with 3 clients right now. Who exactly they want? We're positioned to sell, and we've been talking about who now for a time. Now they got to make a decision. Am I going to sell it to a child and try to help them? Do I really want to just get out, or do I want to sell it to a strategic alliance, or do I want to sell it to a third party completely? Do you know who? And have you agreed on a pricing strategy? The actual amount that you're going to sell the business for. See, all of us have that number, that walkaway number. But can the business support the walkaway number? Many times it can't. Many times it can't. It can't support the walkaway number. Okay, so now that we're talking about selling it, have you determined what is going to be sold? Is it going to be a stock sale or an asset sale? Are you going to sell just the goodwill, or are you going to sell all the assets? Are you going to sell the accounts receivable? You see, there's a lot of consideration. You said, Justin, I never thought about it. Hey, okay, let me tell you right now, go to Amazon and pick up my book, The Ultimate Sale. It's going to walk you through each of these areas here on the considerations that you need to think about. The Ultimate Sale, you can find it on Amazon, or if you're really bored, you can listen to me on Audible. This particular individual has an idea. She wants cash, and she's going to sell everything. Is there a tax deduction that you could apply for, or a tax strategy you could apply for long before you ever sell the business? Justin, I don't have a clue. Okay, then you haven't investigated it. Yes, there is. And here's the strategy. I've already meeting with CPAs and tax attorneys to make this work. Different process. Are you going to offer bonuses or payments to your family and key employees? Or are there going to be retention bonus? So in other words, when they transition the business to this new buyer, are they going to stay with the business with a new buyer? Are you going to put some sort of a clawback provision that says, hey, they get a nice bonus, and if they stay for a period of time, they're going to receive the full value of that bonus? You thought about it? Man, Justin, I hadn't thought about that. You see, whenever we get to making sure our business is ready to sell, there's a lot of work that has to be done, a lot of work. We're in 5th gear now. Is the business consistent? Does it show a steady increase over time in profit? Over the last 2 to 3 years, is there a consistent profitable profit margin within the business? If there's not, and even COVID's involved in this, then you're going to have some reduction in your value. So you may want to wait 2 or 3 years and let's get the profit margin moving in the right direction. Does the business rely on a single person to have the appearance of relying on the single person? Have you positioned the business for market growth? Is it growing? Remember, the faster it grows, the more attractive it is. We dealt with this last time, business readiness. So value readiness is dealing with market growth. I know our company is booming. I know our sample client here is not. Are the current products that our businesses offer, is it attractive? I was actually talking with a CPA firm saying, hey, you guys do really, really good at tax work and accounting work, but you're not really good at 401k management. Why don't you let us buy your 401k management? Now, we're talking about it, but it probably is not going to go for top dollar because it's not positioned properly. So think about that. Is your current products that your business offers attractive? So, they could sell their accounting firm to another accountant, but unless there was another accountant that had 401k business, it's going to be hard to deal with. And do you know who a strategic buyer would be? We covered this in the last episode. A strategic buyer is someone that could merge your business into theirs and add more value. Let's talk about credibility of your business. Do you have a list of customer testimonials? In other words, do you have raving fans? Man, Justin, I have 2 Google reviews. Yeah, you're probably going to be a number 1. On the other hand, I know a dentist that has 6,000 Google reviews. Yeah, they're rocking it out. How in the world do you have 6,000 Google reviews? There's going to be a 4, 5, or 6. Do you have a case study showing what you've done and it demonstrates the value? If you don't, then you may be a 1, 2, or 3. If you do, then you may be a 4, 5, or 6. Do you have a credible list of customers? If you were to show me your customer list, could I call them and say, hey, is Mr. XYZ business, have they done work for you? Do you have awards and recognition? You never have one, so you're going to be a 1, 2, or 3. If you do, then you're going to be a 4, 5, or 6. Are you involved in your community? Are you going to chamber events? Are you doing various things within the community? We're changing gears fast now. Let's go to branding issues. The brand affects the goodwill portion, okay? And the brand can often be improved. So is your brand perfect? Can we improve your brand? Think about branding. Target, the red bullseye. Can you improve on that brand? Probably not. In this particular sample client, they really didn't have a brand. Does the brand name suit the image of the company? Financially Simple. Does that suit what we try to do on the Financially Simple experience? Yes. We try to break down complex things and make them simple. Heritage investors. We're teaching people how to invest in their heritage. This game of life is not get all we can all we get, and sit on our can. That's not the idea of money. We want to build wealth so we can change our destiny of our families. We want to build wealth so we can change a charity somewhere and impact others' lives. Does your brand name state that? Scale of 1 to 6, how you doing? Does the business name include the owner's name? And this has happened so many times. Fred Flintstone's tree cutting service. Not good. It's going to impact the value of the company. Could a potential purchaser add any weight to the purchase price because of the brand? In other words, if I had your brand positioned just right, could I make it XYZ pools and spas? Could I make it leaf and lawn? Could I make it irrigation and landscaping? You see, Justin, man, this is so in depth. This is what growing a value is. Is your brand desirable? Is it desirable to certain potential purchasers? Can you niche it into a particular area that adds some value? We're looking at exit planning readiness, friends. So now we're going to talk about marketing. You've heard me talk about the 8 key areas of business. Now let's look at marketing. Do you have the marketing process systematized? Do you have funnels in place? No. Okay, you may be a 1, 2, or 3. Yes, you may be a 4, 5, or 6. Can you show me all your past advertising and promotional campaigns and the results thereof? What? This is how value works, friends. This individual could not. Can you show me the letters, the promotional materials that went out, the ads that you placed? No, you can't. That's going to be a 1, 2, or 3, depending on what you have. If you can show me everything, you're a 4, 5, or a 6. Can you show me the success? How much dollars did you spend, and what was the results of those dollars? Was it a positive result? Was the ROI positive where the new buyer wants to come in and look at it? See, I have this sneaking suspicion, I really do, that because of the Financially Simple marketing systems and the way we're tracking, that it's not going to be too long before somebody comes in and says, I want to buy Financially Simple and your business from you. I had that sneaking suspicion because I can quantify it down to the exact penny. And it's in such a way that the return for our marketing dollars spent is ridiculous. It's unbelievable. Can you say that? If you can't, then we need to position you where you can. So about halfway through, we have 2 more, then we're going to take a moment and we're going to cut this episode into 2 different tracks here. So we've been looking at the exit readiness of your business. And this is what a business broker, a business advisor, a prospective client is going to look at whenever you go to sell your company. And this is what you want to create harmony amongst. You want to make a straight line as possible within the system here. So let's look at your employee and management. Does the business rely on you, the owner? If it does, give yourself a 1 or a 2 max. If it doesn't, and you're completely out of the business collecting a dividend check, give yourself a 5 or 6. Have you considered if the business can be expanded to rely on multiple people? I know businesses that they say, nope, it can't. I'm not going to give up control. You're a number 1. You know, Justin, show me a way how to not have this thing relying upon me. Think about this. We have several dentist offices, and we love working with dentists and entrepreneurial doctors. We have several dentists who the name used to be on the door, and they were the person that everybody relied on, to where now they're almost like a guest doctor in the office. They have associates. They have multiple hygienists, and they've now positioned the practice to where they're just another doc on staff, even though they own 100% of it. You ever consider doing that in your business? If something were to happen to you, who would take over? Who's going to take over the role of your owner? Have you decided which employee is going to step into that shoes? Have you assigned tasks? On a scale of 1 to 6, have you developed a plan that details the tasks that will be done by each employee? We call these job descriptions. Have you done that? Do you have it in writing? Do the employees know? Are there metrics in place that show that they're fulfilling their expectations? Do you have a training program in place that you're training employees to get them qualified for their new roles? Have you allocated dollars to that? Do you know when employees should transition from one role to the next? See, think about all these things. See, many times we are just so frustrated in business that we're not going to answer this question. Have you determined the changes to salaries or incentives that will be required if you try to sell the business? See, I often see where people overpay key players. That's going to hurt your value. And I see where they underplay key players, and then you have a flight risk. Have you thought about that from its position on a scale of 1 to 6? 1, man, never thought about it. 6, yep, we've already taken care of it. We're moving in the right direction. Is there possible dissatisfaction in the roles, the changing of the roles? Could you end up having a coup within your business? I've seen that happen quite often. Have you planned a time frame when the new roles should begin delegating? In other words, you're starting to train people for those new positions that may be in a new company or to move you out or bring a new buyer in. If you haven't done that, score yourself very low. Do you have detailed job descriptions? This is a simple question. Yes or no? Well, yeah. Are they up to date? Are they in writing? Does the employee know about it? If they do, go to number 6. If they're average, go to a 1, 2, 3 or below average. Do you have a current up-to-date employee handbook? Most people don't. Do you have employee contracts by every employee? Most people don't. Do you have IP signed off? In other words, that an employee, when they create something, realizes this is the intellectual property owned by the company, not by somebody within the employee, somebody who creates it. It's called intellectual IP. Has there been a signing of all intellectual property? Has there been an assignment of all intellectual property to the company? If you have somebody writing your website, does the organization have clear policies and procedures, and are they being followed? Are there performance reviews? Scale of 1 to 6. Are there performance reviews being done for employees? Have you decided whether you will communicate the sale to your employees or not? Now, this is a sticky wicket here, friends. This one is a tough one, and every client, every situation is going to be different. That's one that you have to spend a lot of time thinking about. Have you thought about how your employees are going to react? I'm going to tell you they're going to get nervous. They're going to get scared because people don't like change. How are they going to react with the sale of your business? Are your employees happy? Is the team happy? Is it positive morale? Does the management look strong on paper? In other words, they have good CVs. Do you have an org chart? Is it up to date? Is the organizational chart up to date? Yes? Okay, great. Give yourself a high rating. No? What's your turnover ratio? If it's high, can you explain it? What happened? If it's low, can you explain what happened? So friends, this is looking at your business to determine if it is ready. Let's look at the financial questions. Do you have 2 years of tax returns or audited financial statements available? Most people say yes. Have you documented last year's management reports and profit and losses? Okay, think about that question. Management reports. If I wanted to look at the details of your company, I wanted to see customer acquisition costs. I wanted to see return from marketing. I wanted to see the number of hour per customer yield. There's a lot of different factors there. In fact, in the financial section of our company, I think there's something about just almost 100 or so, maybe 60 episodes. There's a ton of KPIs that we're tracking right now on the management side. Have you documented the number of sales by customer in the last year? Have you documented the sales by product? Yeah. The sources of revenue. You're building swimming pools. Do you know how many you built? What was the average revenue profitability per pool? If you're selling widgets, let's break them out by departments. Have you done a deep dive to segment your customers, to identify who your key customers are? And have you determined your profits plus add backs and have this available on a reconciliation statement? In other words, have you normalized your financials? Friends, we're only halfway through exit planning readiness here. I hope as you're listening to these episodes, it's causing questions to come to your head. And you're like, dude, I did not have a clue. Yeah, welcome to the world of working with comprehensive business planning. See, I firmly believe that we can grow our businesses to where they are the most valuable asset available to us, and they can return high valuations. They can help us bridge our gap. You can double your net worth every 3 to 5 years. It can be done. But now you're seeing the complexity and why so many business owners throw their hands up in the air and say, help. Hey, friends, we're through 2 of them. We've got 10 more questions on this particular series. So join us for next episode as we continue looking at exit planning readiness for your business. Till next time, y'all go out and make it a great day.